Now we'll talk through some of the sanctions that the League tried to implement and really how successful they might have done. See, the first thing that the League of Nations needed to struggle with is that basically their council were directly embroiled in the process of invading Abyssinia. Britain and France did not want to stop Italy, and Italy was the other council member. So the Abyssinian invasion was kind of being rigged from the top. You can see this through what is called the Hoare-Laval Pact. I've got it in my centre of my screen here. Essentially, Samuel Hoare and I can't remember his name unfortunately, Pierre Laval were the foreign ministers of Britain and France, and they went and met up and came up with a plan of how to give Italy Abyssinia without causing, should we say, League of Nations problems. They came up with this whole plan that you can see on the board. They were changing bits that would become Italy, changing bits where Italy would have influence over this area to try and basically give Italy the land without causing war. See, this revealed that Britain and France were also not interested in saving lives or stopping war. What they were interested in was basically giving Mussolini what he wanted without, should we say, well, without upsetting the League of Nations in the first place. It proved that everyone who was at the top of the League of Nations didn't really care about stopping war. Everyone who was at the top didn't really care about this whole thing of preventing war at all costs, encouraging mitigation and saving lives. They only cared about themselves. Japan cared about themselves in Manchuria, Italy cared about themselves in Abyssinia, and Britain and France cared about themselves when it came to Hitler. They didn't really care about the countries that were taken over and the wars that were fought. They just wanted about themselves. Now, I'm not just to make it about Britain, France, Italy and Japan, but the League did try and do some stuff. The Assembly did come up with some ideas of how to sanction. See, one of them involved, they placed economic sanctions on Italy to try and reduce the money that they would not be spending. In fact, they banned selling weapons to Italy, which is pretty good, isn't it? But they also did not ban the use of sale of oil and coal to Italy. So Italy couldn't buy new guns to fire at the Abyssinian people, but they could buy oil to fuel their planes and coal to fuel their tanks to get their big weapons to Italy. So a bit of a half and half success there. And in fact, the League of Nations didn't want war at all, so actually they banned sale of weapons to Abyssinia as well, because that would obviously reduce the length of time in the war. But also that meant Abyssinia couldn't defend themselves very well either. Not a great one either. And here is the big one that, should we say, everyone remembers. On the left-hand side there, you can see the Suez Canal. You know, that little stretch of land that connects Mediterranean Sea to the Indian Ocean. Well, that was the way that Italy was moving its soldiers and weapons and supplies to Abyssinia. It's a waterway that they could transport all their stuff to. And the League of Nations, with Egypt as a member, failed to close the Suez Canal. They did not manage to actually shut it so that Italy couldn't get to Abyssinia in the first place. And by not doing that, it meant Italy could get to Abyssinia much faster. Now, it's up to you which bits you think the League of Nations did well at and which bits you think the League of Nations did poorly at. But the whole idea of this is that the world was done with the League of Nations by this point. The League of Nations had failed twice in two very obvious moments where it was revealed that the leaders of the League of Nations did not care. And nobody past this point took it seriously as a peacekeeping organisation. And when nobody takes you seriously as an organisation, you're done, aren't you? No one really cared about the League of Nations after this point. This was the nail in the coffin, you could say. But you should be able to know this. What did the League do well? What did the League do badly? And why did Britain and France betray the League? If you're unsure from my description, please find the textbook page. There is way better descriptions on it than there from me, but you should have got the gist from what I'm talking about. All right, good luck. See you later.